What's up, guys? Welcome to our first weekly series of Wristre Wednesdays. My name is Brandon and I'm going to be your host. We wanted to start a little video series about tips and tricks that we've learned along the way since we've started Wristre. Before we got started, I did want to say thank you to everybody who has joined us in the coalition so far, as well as the Facebook group. We're on our way to creating the first timepiece community, and it's super exciting and fun to do with you guys. If you haven't heard of the coalition yet, it's an email that we send out every Sunday going over luxury news as well as timepiece industry news. We also have a watch of the week in there where we do a review and we go in great detail of the watch. We also have a killer deal every week with very aggressive pricing, so be sure to check that out. I'll put the info on top. Feel free to join, guys, and join us on Facebook. We have an absolute blast. So to start us off, Steve and I, a coalition member, were talking earlier this week about timepieces as investments. We did touch briefly on this in our first newsletter, so I figured it would be a great topic to kick this series off. Most of us, myself included, we usually think of investments more in a traditional manner, stocks, businesses, real estate, but before I started Wristre, I never really knew that I could wear an investment on my wrist. With that being said, there definitely is a catch. Not all watches you're going to also be able to use as an investment. Just a few things to look for that might help your watch appreciate and maybe become an investment as well is going to be if there's a limited number of watches per that model, or even if the model was discontinued and it was super popular and has some precious metals on top of that. Usually the types of watches that you're going to find this in are going to be from like the major Swiss watchmakers, either Rolex, IWC, Audemars Piguet, Hublot, and so on. These watches have actual craftsmanship that go into them. They were built by hand, they're beautifully designed, and they're sought after, they're valuable. So you want to look for something that's along those lines when you're even considering a watch as an investment. I have nothing personally against quartz watches, but they just don't really fit into this conversation, as those are going to be types of watches that they're straight off a press from Japan or China, and they don't have anything valuable for them because there's nothing besides that. They're just off an assembly line. So for something, when you're looking for an investment in timepieces, you're really looking for something that has craftsmanship behind it. There's scarcity involved, as meaning there's a limited number of those watches out there. And of course, there's going to be the price issue that you get into that, which we'll get into that in a little later. So here's where it does get tricky, because I'm not saying that any watch that you go out and buy, you're going to make money on or you're going to get a good ROI on it. And before you come back yelling at the YouTube guy saying blah, 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 he's preaching watches as an investment class and it doesn't work. That's not what I'm trying to get at, and it's not necessarily what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that watches do hold their value. It's just finding the correct value for them and buying them at the right prices to the point where you can enjoy them and not lose a bunch of money on something. So what you will usually find is very similar to a brand new car. When you go and buy a watch brand new, you're instantly going to take some type of depreciation hit to it. Not that the watch isn't worth anything like the car isn't, it's just they're selling it for a retail price, and the retail price isn't always the fair market value of that watch. These watches tend to eventually bottom out, and they hold their value for what they're actually worth. Why does this happen? It goes back to what we were saying earlier, that these watches are actually worth something and they hold their value because, one, there's either a limited number of those watches created, two, they're discontinued and they no longer make these watches anymore, so they become scarce, and they have actual handmade craftsmanship going into creating these timepieces, and they're not just coming off some assembly line and it costs dollars to make them. So what does this actually mean to us? This is one of the main reasons why we advocate buying pre-owned versus brand new, because the cool thing, unlike cars or vehicles, is that watches don't actually show mileage. So as long as the watch is in great shape and it looks awesome and it's not banged up or anything, and you can verify that it's completely real and authentic, then you're not necessarily at a loss. It may not be brand new, but it's still going to be new to you and it looks brand new. And you can always do something like polish the watch or add a strap on there, a new bracelet to personalize it to yourself. But the great thing is that you're not going to be paying full list value on something, and you're actually going to be paying closer to what the watch is actually worth. A few tips on how to actually figure out what the watch that you're trying to buy or even that you own is worth is go on eBay, Chrono24, any of those listing websites, and find exact comps for what watch model that you're interested in and see what they're going for, and you can either go into sections that sold you what they were sold for. So those are all going to be pre-owned watches. They're not brand new unless otherwise stated, and you're going to get a general idea of what these watches are selling for and what they're worth. So it's as simple as making sure the watch is authentic, and if you ever have an issue with any of that, you can meet someone at an AD, and usually they'll authenticate that for you, no problem, and you'll get an accurate description on what the watch is worth. We actually put out a newsletter last week that actually put this whole process in there, so if anyone's interested in that, feel free to message us or join the coalition. We have it archived in there, and you can get the full walkthrough on how to do that yourself as well. I definitely understand that some of these tips that we're giving are more on the basic side as we're on the conversation of investments as timepieces, but at the end of the day, what I'm trying to break down is that watches and timepieces can be an asset class, and they do hold their value. So it's not like you're going to go out to the supermarket or the store and pick something up, and then it's not going to be worth anything after that besides what it's worth to you. So there's totally a way to buy timepieces at a price where you can enjoy them for free, if not make a couple bucks on them, or even just lose a couple bucks on them, and you're not losing thousands of dollars. I mean, of course you're going to get your outliers in the watch industry, and depending on the model. Like, for instance, the Patek Philippe 5711, it was, back 4 years ago, 2014, 5 years ago, it was selling for $16,000. Now it's way above list, and you have to pick one up for $56,000. So you get huge percentages that go like that on some models that just get super scarce, and the demand for them is so high. And that's definitely going to rival some blue chip stocks, I guess. But I do feel it's important for me to note, because I have been advocating the pre-owned watch market this whole video, that the pre-owned market is littered with scammers as well as replica watches. So make sure to protect yourself and really be careful when you're buying pre-owned watches, and that it's from a trusted source or you have some type of buyer protection on there. I don't want to see anybody get screwed over a deal because they bought something and they wired money and the watch turned out to be a complete replica, or they didn't even receive a watch and you just got stolen from thousands of dollars. That's just definitely something to be cognitive of. The pre-owned market's double-edged. It's really cool that you can enjoy timepieces closer to what they're worth and not lose thousands of dollars on them. But you really need to be careful that there are scams out there and there are people out there looking to steal money and promote something that isn't authentic or real. Close this out here today, guys. I do want to remind everybody that we are currently running a giveaway over on the Wristre Facebook page. We're giving away a Diplomat watch winder, so feel free to go over there and join in on that. All you got to do is tag a few buddies and join the newsletter. We'll be releasing the winner this Sunday in the Coalition newsletter. And this was our first video of many. We're going to be doing them every Wednesday in conjunction with the Sunday newsletter. So if you enjoyed it or you have some criticism, please let us know, and feel free to let us know the topics that you'd like to hear about, and we'd love to include them in them. So make sure to join us over at the Facebook group, the Wristre Coalition. We have a bunch of fun in there, and subscribe so you can see the next video when it's all set. Alright guys, enjoy your week and we'll see you later. Thanks.